right, all right. And we are now live here in clear and in living color.
in living color.
I'm telling you, in living color.
Definitely.
Oh, good, 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 good. So, I'm so glad. And how about you, Sharon?
I'm very glad too.
To be here live. Or last time we were doing a recording from that end, so we apologize for
It was
that. But
a repeat.
a repeat, yeah, we were out of town, and where were we at?
We were on. We were on an island working on another project that we have going.
Exactly, exactly. Well, you're listening to Taking Journeys together. If this is the first time you have a chance to actually get with our show or be one of our guests on the show, the first time seeing the show, my name is Imar or Craig, and this is
Zare.
our Sharon. We want to let you know before we move on, make sure you go share. Yes, share. We want you to share it with your friends. We want you to share it with your enemies. We want you to share with everybody that you know of, especially the ones that you love. It's so important to share, share, share. Got a good topic that we've been talking about. And in this world, so much of what's going on, this topic we've had more than one time to present and talk about. It's such a COVID topic, too, to be honest with you. It's so interweaved in relationships, whether it's relationships that you're in as married or you're cohabiting or you're partnering, or sometimes you're just relating to people, period. And,
Mhm.
ooh, people just carrying around this kind of seed, carrying around this kind of thing. Some people say just carrying around this attitude
Exactly.
a lot today. And man, hey, what can I say? When it bleeds into your relationship, it can be a problem. And sometimes you know it, sometimes you don't even know it at all. Right?
Absolutely.
Well, and on that note, Sharon, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about what our vision and our mission, as someone said, is what this is all about.
Okay. Taking the journey together is about relating. And our motto is, or our vision is, we are going to relate. It doesn't matter what our mother, father, sister, brother, uncle, even what Jesus says, we are going to relate. But at taking the journey together, we strive to help people to see that they can relate in a balanced way. And when we say a balanced way, we're talking about you start a relationship as a friendship
Mm-hmm.
and you build that friendship into a committed relationship, into a
Mm-hmm.
lovership. And then when you take it to the next level, you don't have to decide whether you're going to be in a committed long-term relationship with your lover or if you're going to be in that long-term committed relationship with your friend, because you have your friend and your lover together in that one person. And when they're together in that one person, you have a balanced relationship.
Well, you at least should try to move to it or think you know that you have one. Or in this particular case, if you don't know, hopefully some things we're talking about will help you right along with it. Help you right along with it. Well, let's start right into it. Last time we did a lot of preliminary stuff, but this time we're not going to do preliminary stuff. We're going to go right into our show. Let me see if I can help our new engineer off. I'm going to show it up here. Yeah, that's right. We're going to talk about toxic relationships, toxic relationships, the very thing that we are carrying around a lot with so much stress, so much pressure, so much polarization, so much isolation, so much extremes that are going on right now. Oh, if there was not one thing that is so much going on in a relationship, it is toxicity. Oh
Absolutely.
my goodness.
We can wake up in the morning and think everything is just fine. And within an hour of getting up, that toxicity tends to roll in. And sometimes you're not even aware of it until you do something that lets you know that, oh, okay, I'm being toxic now. Or,
Mm,
oh, okay, my partner's being toxic now. And yes, it's okay to recognize yourself as being toxic too.
yeah.
And that's when it's time to start making amends so that that relationship can continue to thrive. But taking into consideration that nobody's perfect, that is going to happen. But what you have to do is learn how to say I'm sorry, learn how to say I made a mistake, learn how to.
You're spilling all the beans right now. I mean, right at
Not
the
spill the
beginning.
beans.
I don't even know why you are.
Because we had gone over some of this
Yeah,
before,
we did.
and
We certainly
that was
did.
the only reason.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
understand that, but we're going to get and think about the people that who are probably brand new here at the
brand
same
new.
time. Brand new. I was thinking when we think about toxic, we use a lot. Another word we can attach to toxic is people who have this attitude.
Oh
And we
yeah,
always talk about that attitude. Well, what attitude are we talking about? Does everybody have an attitude? Aren't there sometimes platitudes with attitudes, as
yeah.
people say? I think when we spit out that attitude, many times we don't necessarily describe what it is. But one
Hmm.
thing is for sure, if you spit out that word attitude and you throw it on someone that says they got an attitude, how can you know if they had an attitude or not? Could it be you who has the attitude? Could it be they that's had an attitude? How is it that you know if they have an attitude when that's spit out like that? Huh?
I think a lot of it has to do with where you are and how you receive them. But then
Mm-hmm.
there are some people who um, they have an attitude. There, but you can have a positive attitude or an
Mm-hmm.
upbeat attitude.
Mm-hmm.
But you run into a lot of people that have negative attitudes, and sometimes, as we were talking about, that bleeding into your relationship
Mm-hmm.
from somebody on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we have a lot of people that have a lot of things going on,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they end up being very toxic in their own right because of not dealing with it.
Well, I mean, in this particular case, who we are talking about toxicity, especially in our relationship, toxicity is really like a poison. It's a
It
substance that
is.
can make you feel ill, make you feel sick. I mean, toxicity could even kill you and
Mhm.
bring death to your relationship. A toxic relationship, as we talked about before, is one that is really sick.
Yeah.
And when we were on WRUU 107.5, by the way, that's what we do every Saturday
Saturday
from
morning.
9 to 10 o'clock.
Mhm.
WRUU right here in Savannah. Get a chance to take a listen to it. And we'll flip a little script right here. Nope. Nope. Probably have to go down one more, I think, right here. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, you should join us online, WRUU. You will also find out, well, if you go there, it's up right now because it was our last live program we did. You will also find out when we were talking to a doctor. What was her name, by the way?
Dr. Jessica.
Dr. Jessica. She has a show on WRUU. We're getting you plug for the Dr. Jessica if you're watching the show. Called Sister to Sister.
No, sister's
Sister
perspective.
perspective, yes. And she
Yes.
gave us her perspective. We were talking about toxicity, and she
Mhm.
said something that was very moving. She said that some people are toxic. Sometimes they are functioning what?
Addicts. They act
Functioning.
like functioning
They have
addicts.
no idea that they have an attitude. Now, some people know they got an attitude.
Yes.
They know it's
And
toxic.
some people honor
Yeah,
their
they're
negative attitude. And
exactly. They kind
yeah,
of
I got an
like
attitude
they're
and,
pretty prideful. But she was talking
yeah.
about the ones who are not necessarily know they have
Mhm.
toxicity through their attitude, and they're functioning that way. They've been
Right.
functioning, and we kind of talked about how we've been in relationships before, where that relationship, the kids are going like called baby kids. The sisters cussing all day and all night. I mean, they're fighting in that relationship, and no one pays attention to the stress that's going on. They're
Mhm.
so used to it. You can come in there, you can feel that stress and cut it with a knife, but they're not paying a bit of attention to it.
Exactly.
And so they're functioning in that toxicity and thinking nothing about it because of the fact that they're not aware of it. Or as
Mhm.
our doctor so eloquently said, that sometimes it has everything to do with change.
Right.
And they don't want to change. It's uncomfortable to change. And it is uncomfortable with change. And they're so used to just being this way,
Mhm.
as it could be because of family. I mean, it's family.
Right.
We call it cultural conditioning. The family's this way. That's
Exactly.
how they've always acted. That's how they've always been loud or whatever you may want
Mhm.
to say.
Could be
And
the job.
yeah, could it be a job having pressure on you? And kind of like, well, hey,
Mhm.
this is how it's going to be there, and anything else differently, you're going to take all, take
Yes.
all that anyway in the first place.
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah. So we want to continue on with this because in the relationship, when someone is being toxic in the relationship, what happens is they are about taking and
Mhm.
want to give you nothing in return. So
Right.
they may give you an attitude, or they may give you a platitude, or in this particular case, their toxicity is they may try to make you feel guilty, or such a way where basically any joy any happiness or any feeling good that you had, they're going to try to take that joy. They're
Yes.
going to try to take that happiness. They're going to try to make you feel bad because they themselves ain't feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They
Yes.
themselves ain't feeling right. So they got to take it from you. They got to, or some people say, take it out on you.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, no. I was just getting ready to say,
Mm-hmm.
connecting with what you were just saying,
Mm-hmm.
that there are a lot of people that we come in contact with. And when I say a lot of people, that means
Mm-hmm.
that there is a few too many
Mm-hmm.
that we come in contact with, that when you are sharing a joy that you have,
Mm-hmm.
they have to turn it back on them, or they have to one up you, or they,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that too, which is, we sometimes call it narcissism, but it may not even be to the extent of narcissism, but that too is a toxic
Mm-hmm.
individual that we just kind of go, ah, that's just how she is, or that's just how he is.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's toxicity.
Yeah, it is. And we are going to get to what the basis and foundation of toxicity. I mean, in other words, what really causes toxicity? What really does that? Now, don't get me wrong. We sacrifice, part of our good relationships, and sometimes we have challenges. Sometimes we disagree. Sometimes we're forgiveness struggle. I mean,
Yes.
that happens sometimes. Meaning, once in a while, or maybe more than once in a while, toxicity is going to exist. People going to have
Yes.
attitudes.
Yes.
Maybe your mom died that you were very
Mm-hmm.
close to, and in that relationship, you're going to have an attitude. You're
Yes.
not going to feel comfortable. You're going to, was it, the young folks said, you're going to, spit some shade, whatever you may want to
Yeah,
call
throw
it.
shade.
Throw shade, exactly. And it has everything to do with your feeling of being upset because your mom passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, you're definitely going to many times be toxic unless you really got it together. You're going
Yeah.
to be toxic to that other individual
Yeah.
in your relationship, and they may understand, but they may not understand. But that's also part of life,
Mm-hmm.
since nothing's really perfect in the first place. And when that happens, we're not necessarily trying to attach that person and saying that they're really just a toxic individual.
Right.
They're just going through a time where there is a situation that's pushing them to be toxic,
Mm-hmm.
that's pushing them not to feel comfortable, that's pushing them not to, be more caring and concerned for you because of what's going on inside of them. What do you think about that?
I agree with that because, we tend to hold things in,
Mm-hmm.
keep things to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we do it with the intention, what is that saying? The best intentions, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I can't remember
Mm-hmm.
it right offhand. But we do it with the best of intentions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna let so and so know, my husband, my wife, my girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
the person that is the closest to me, know what's going on, because I don't want them to feel bad, or because I already know they had a great day today,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to make it worse. But then what you end up doing is you hold all that in,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't really hold it in the way you think you can, and
Yes.
it comes out in ways that you don't expect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that toxicity, you know um, parasites let you know that they're there.
Hmm.
Parasites.
What?
Parasites
Where?
in you. Yeah.
we,
Those-
we haven't talked about before about parasites, those negative thoughts
yeah.
that sometimes we cater to. Sometimes we create them ourselves and feed them
Hmm.
to at the same time. Yeah. Okay.
So those things that you hold in,
Mm-hmm.
that's not a good idea. Even if it is for what you think
Mm-hmm.
is a perfect reason, a very good reason,
Mm-hmm.
a selfless reason, it's still not good to hold that in, because it will blow up on you.
Most of us think that when it comes to toxicity, it has to do with that romance thing.
Hmm.
You think about drama.
Yeah.
Whether there's relationship shows that are going on in Atlanta and what is it, the Bachelor shows and things like that.
I
We always kind of attach a toxicity and attitudes to, it's a relationship thing,
hmm
so it has to do with the drama or romance. But in reality, again, toxicity is that relationship between two people on more than one person, in basically how you are expressing yourself to
Right.
that other individual. So that means you can include coworkers, as you talked about
Mm-hmm.
before, in-laws,
Yeah.
parents,
Children.
siblings, friends. It could be anyone that in
Yes.
turn either you could be toxic to, or they could be a toxic back in return
Yeah.
to you.
Or your next door neighbor, even.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly, exactly. How about your kids? You think your kids
I
can?
said
You
children.
think children can ever be?
Oh
You think
gosh,
young
yes.
folks can ever be toxic?
Oh
Oh
yes.
no, never, never.
Oh,
No,
children
no.
are the most manipulative beings
Oh
ever
really?
created.
Really? Come on, those little sweet young
Oh, they are
things.
sweet and they
Come
are
on, them little
adorable.
babies. There's no way.
They are sweet and
Yeah. We saw our
adorable.
grandparents. I
I,
mean,
I,
our grandkids this weekend.
I
What did you think
know.
about them?
They were the sweetest. Oh gosh, they were
Mm-hmm.
so cute, so loving,
Mm-hmm.
and oh, that little Ziomara, she was
Yeah, she was.
she was cute as she could be. But yes, and if they're listening, shout out to Ziomara, Bubba, and
And
Satra.
Satra. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. They would run all over the house.
Oh gosh,
Had the little
yes.
video games.
Living on the video games.
Exactly. Day in, man, you could tell that their life was just video game. No wonder why playgrounds and stuff don't have kids much anymore. They inside on their video games or watching the video games. Or they're watching
Hmm.
shows.
Yes.
She was watching a little some kind of
It was a it
kindergarten
was a learning
learning game.
video
Exactly.
thing.
By her little toy truck.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Teaches
okay.
her alphabets and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I thought it was funny. I actually told her, "Do you think you can get in that car? Open the door and get in the car." And she looked at me and says, "It's only a toy."
This is the 4-year old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Then I said, "Okay, I think it's broke. Open up the hood." She was looking over for the hood. She went over the hood. I thought it was funny. Well,
But
anyway.
in those
Mm-hmm.
situations, those kind of relax you
Mm-hmm.
and move some of that toxicity away.
Mm-hmm.
But even those little ones have toxic moments.
Mm-hmm.
When things aren't going their way, oh, it is like the end of the world, and they
Mm-hmm.
will let you know. So
Mm-hmm.
that toxicity can roll into the relationship also.
Exactly, exactly. Healthy relationship is a
Safe,
safe
self,
relationship.
safe, self.
It's
Yes.
a relationship where you can be yourself without fear, a place where you feel comfortable and secure.
Hmm.
A toxic relationship, on the other hand, is not a safe place.
Right.
A toxic relationship is characterized by you feel insecure,
Yes.
you feel fearful,
Hmm.
you have a lot of self-centeredness, or and
Yes.
some people say you could be very what? Narcissistic.
Yes.
You use a lot of dominance,
Hmm.
okay, and you are always about trying to be mostly in
In
control.
control.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So those kind of things don't really work. So let's look at, as we move on, because we talked about this before. I think the most important part is what causes toxicity. What
Yes.
really causes that? Now, most of us say because I'm doing something I don't want to do, or
Hmm.
something happened at a job that made me feel mad or
Yes.
bad, or in turn, maybe I just didn't get what I want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what really
Or
causes? Oh, I'm sorry.
here's the one that
Mm-hmm.
gets me, and I have heard this many times.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you acting like that? I don't know. I'm just having a bad day. Why are you having a bad day? I just am.
I am that I am.
Yeah.
It used to be the old day. The Papa they say that, man.
Yes. And that's taking it
Mm-hmm.
in a cycle, or a nice
Mm-hmm.
little circle here. And when you're in that situation, if you don't figure it out, you're the one that's creating that toxicity.
Hey, before we go on, I'm noticing you have a hot button on right here.
I
I don't
do.
have no hot button on. How come?
Why didn't you put your hot
You
button
usually
on?
put a hot button on for me. Well, why don't you take that hot button and show people about where we could get this hot button, or where someone can get this hot button, and I'll try to find the
Let me
right.
get it turned right. Okay.
Yeah, here it is. Okay, I got it. And where people can actually
There's
pick up that hot button if they would like, and wear that hot button. I think we met a couple, one from
it's
New
only
York, one from Philadelphia.
$5. Yes.
They have been married for what? How long?
Um, what was it? 40 something? I can't remember. It was 50.
Well, it was definitely over the 7 year itch. I think it was about 30,
Yeah,
40 some years old.
something like
But
that.
but the
Yeah.
unique thing is, and we're going to have them on a show, by the way. We're going to have them on a show. One of the unique things about it is they got into that relationship under the foundation that we talk about on thriving relationship,
Mm-hmm.
healthy relationship,
Yes.
as friends.
Yes.
They were friends before they knew each other, and they moved into the relationship as
As
friends.
friends.
And we've got to have them on the show so that they can give us some real examples of how it is to
Mm-hmm.
start your relationship being friends.
Yes.
And they're almost our age, so they were doing that what I call advanced
Yes.
friendship thing as the basis of your
Mm-hmm.
relationship, getting into that marriage thing or whatever you
Yeah.
need you want to call it. Long time before a lot of people
Oh,
even thought about it. Long
definitely.
time before we even were preaching it and trying to teach it.
Before we even knew
Yeah.
each other.
But they confirmed a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about,
Exactly.
which is why I want to get them on the show. But
We
anyway,
had a wonderful
yeah,
conversation.
we did. Okay, so
Um,
they picked up our hot buttons
yes.
because they were like, yeah, we're hot. Yeah, we're hot. So
Yes.
what is hot? What does hot mean again?
Hot is, excuse me, honest, open, and transparent. And that's what you need to have a thriving, healthy relationship. Let's be hot. You can get your buttons. Just email us at um, ttjt at takingthejourney
Did I do that here?
together.com.
Okay, it's coming across your roster.
ttjt at takingthejourney together.com.
And
It's only $5.
and it goes down and it goes to this great video streaming
Network.
channel or network itself. And we're so happy to be on it too at the same time.
Yes.
Really happy to be on it. Okay, so now going past the commercial. Oh, oh, ow! No, you didn't do that. You,
Gotcha. Did I get you? Didn't get you.
yep, you got me,
But
and
you
now
are
I'm
hot.
badged.
You
I'm
are
badged. I like my stinking badge. So I'm hot now. Okay.
yes.
Now we want to give you, for all those who are waiting, what causes toxicity. What causes it? Is your eyes, your nose, your mom, your dad, bad
I'm
food you ate? What is
I'm
it?
just angry. I was born angry.
Well, they talk about, some black folks, we call it angry black man, angry black woman. That's kind of what they stereotype
Yes.
attached us to. Say that's where we are from birth.
And we
which
start
is
off as angry black
stereotypes.
children.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Whatever. But
It's total stereotypes.
it is. It is. So what causes toxicity? Sharon, what causes toxicity?
Toxicity basically is caused from a lack of empathy.
Yes. Relationship behaviors that result with a lack of empathy.
Mhm. Yes.
That's what
A
it
lack
really
of
is.
empathy.
That's what it boils down.
Yeah.
That's the root. That's where the roots are to this tree of
Mhm.
toxicity.
Yes.
It's the lack of empathy.
Which
So
is a tree that really needs to be chopped down.
what really does.
It's more like an overgrown weed.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what's empathy? What is empathy?
The ability to understand and share the feelings of another.
Exactly. What is it that you came with that you really like to help people understand what empathy really
Yeah.
means? Because empathy is not compassion.
No.
There's a difference between
No.
compassion and empathy. You can have compassion from
Yes.
someone, but that compassion could be based
Yeah.
on you,
Exactly.
but not based on
Exactly.
them.
Exactly.
Empathy in this case is based on
Mhm.
the other person that you know. And what did you come up with
Yes.
that defines empathy?
Empathy is like a pair of glasses that you put on to see the world through someone else's eyes.
Wow. So empathy is really about you seeing it from their point of view.
Yes.
From their point of view.
Mhm.
There's a old Native American kind of saying, and that you have to sometimes take your time out and walk in someone else's moccasins. That's
Mhm.
pretty much kind of paraphrased
Yeah.
in so many words. I remember, and I give this all the time, about the customer service training that I got working for some large company. And they would always, I'm not going to say the 3 C's, I'm not going to bring it this time. But anyway, they talk about this is how you can really help a customer out so that they are and can understand that you really understood them
Mhm.
and understood their concern that they're calling in and wanting to get help.
Yes. Yes.
one of the first things you got to do is you got to repeat back to them what they said.
Mhm.
By repeating back to them what they said, you let them know that you were listening
Yes.
and you heard what they said.
Mhm.
And with that, they understood that you were at least trying to
Right.
understand them.
Right.
And that's what empathy is all about,
Mhm.
being able to touch someone else's feelings in a way that you understand it. That's all
Yes.
about sharing in the first place in a
Yes.
relationship. Many people are in a relationship, they're not about trying to do that.
No.
They're about having someone else just know where they're coming
What they
from,
want.
but they are not whatsoever
Mhm.
trying to know where the other
Yes.
person's coming from
Yes.
whatsoever, period. So there's no real empathy going on. And
Exactly.
therefore you can understand with that, toxicity can be easily be kind of like what I would say, the basis to the foundation of that relationship. They're
Mhm.
just using toxicity all the time because it's all about them. That doctor talked about when they do it many times, you always said it again, they can be acting, well, now that we're talking about it, in a functional way where they are functionally what?
Like functional
I
addicts.
say functionally toxic people.
There you go.
They just think nothing about it. It's just part of life. Anything
Mhm.
else, don't take all of that. And they are just going about their day being toxic as can
Yes.
be and have no idea that they really are. Yeah.
We have a comment up there.
Yeah. Oh, we do? Okay. I'm sorry.
Uh,
Let me look. Let me look. Nope.
Nope.
There's no coming after this time.
Okay.
All those are listening. Some of them probably in turn might thought we're back doing a not a live program, so that could be the reason why. But you sure missed some of our usuals.
Yes, we
I
do.
got a chance to listen into our program, but to make sure that we don't do too many
Of the
repeats, even
repeats.
though that
Yeah.
was a good repeat last time.
Mhm.
So let's move on. We are going to talk about the 10 different signs in this case on dealing. How do you, yes, how can you know about if you, I had to stop for a second, if you are being toxic or if in turn someone else is being toxic.
Yes.
We got 10 signs to help you out with it. And then and later on in our other particular parts, we're going to talk about how you can be healed from being toxic.
Mhm.
Toxic. I might as well say, how can you be healed for not being able to be empathy
Empathetic.
empathetic to someone else,
Yes.
and all you're doing is doing relationship behaviors. I
Mm.
mean, you're
Yes.
throwing shade, your tone of voice,
Mhm.
you rolling
Just
of your
negative
eyes.
behaviors.
You could be in this case, guy, you could be like slapping a girl
Or
around or cussing.
cussing
I
each
mean, you're
other
just
or
doing stuff that
yeah.
basically are behaviors that are the result of you just ain't feeling that person
Right.
because you ain't trying to feel that
Right.
person
You know,
whatsoever,
and
and they neither are them
yeah,
with you.
and name calling. Oh, that's a big one that a lot
Hmm.
of people do without even thinking twice about it.
Yeah,
But that is also toxic behavior.
it is. It is. Yeah. So in this case, whether that be they are a demanding partner or you can't live up to the expectations,
Expectations.
refusing to see things from their perspective, toxic behavior often represents the inability to feel genuine understanding and compassion for the other. In other words, if you can't feel genuine understanding, compassion for the other person, you can know you are a candidate for being a toxic person.
Yes,
And your attitude is going to come around just along with it. Most of us,
absolutely.
we use that word. The reason why I don't have no genuine understanding and compassion for you, because I ain't feeling you anyway in the first place. And
Then
so I act appropriately.
then then dissolve the relationship.
Yeah.
There's no
Move
reason
on.
there's no reason for you to feel that you are getting toxicity from somebody else and you just stay there and take it. The truth of the matter is if you feel like you're getting that kind of toxicity
Hmm.
and you're staying there and staying in that relationship and just taking it, chances are you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
You're being toxic and just not admitting it.
Yeah, I think I put something up that in a heated argument, if
Mhm.
you end up being sicker or sick in connection to the other person that
Yeah.
you're dealing with in that heated argument, you could bet that other person is toxic. Not
Yes.
you,
Yes.
they're toxic because they
Yes.
just through that toxicity on you.
Mm-hmm.
And toxicity will make you sick, will
Yeah.
make you feel uncomfortable, make you feel like something is wrong with you. Most people who are toxic themselves, again, as Doc was bringing up, they're functional. They don't feel the sickness.
Yeah.
They don't feel that uncomfortableness that they're spitting out.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are immune to it.
Yes.
I mean, very immune. They're cold hearted. They've been seared inside
Yeah.
for whatever reason. They could be,
Mm-hmm.
part of PST's reactions to. But the bottom line is, they're not going to feel the results
Mm-hmm.
of that toxicity.
Yeah.
It's you who's going to feel that toxicity.
Exactly. And an example of that,
Hmm.
and that toxicity can make you physically ill.
Hmm.
And
I'll make you mad.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. But
Hmm.
an example of that is I was in a relationship
Hmm.
where there was a lot of negativity going on, a lot. And this was one of those situations where I was trying to do the right thing,
Hmm.
but I didn't know what the right thing was.
Hmm.
But there was so much toxicity coming my way that I felt helpless about doing anything about.
Hmm.
I end up with the beginning stages of an ulcer.
Oh wow.
And, the way I was feeling, I'm like, this is not normal for me.
Hmm.
And so I started doing some research and found out that it was early stages of an ulcer that I was,
Mm.
dealing, and I realized that I was dealing with this situation and I was holding things in,
Hmm.
um and it was taking my physical health
Hmm.
down.
Hmm.
And it was something that I wasn't even in control of to that
Hmm.
extent, was not a party to, other than the fact that that toxicity was coming at me every day.
Stress.
Yes,
That's what stress does. High blood
exactly.
pressure,
Yeah, I got high
heart
blood pressure about that
conditions.
same time too.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
stress will do that.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and that's bad stress. Now, this is
Oh
good
yeah,
stress, but that's bad stress
that was
from that end.
horrible
It is.
stress. Yeah.
Oh, so let's start with one. Let's start with one.
Yeah, we
Uh,
talked about that
yeah, we did, but
before
we'll
a
go
little
real
bit.
quickly. You always
Yes.
go back over. You don't feel safe.
Hmm.
Yes, you don't feel safe. You are either making someone else not feel safe in the relationship, or you are not feeling safe in the relationship. And although we really don't mean physically, although that would apply too,
Hmm.
we are talking about a sense of emotional safety,
Yes.
that you can
Yes.
feel open to share your thoughts and your
Hmm.
feeling with this person. Do you feel like your voice matters, or do you feel like you'll always have to edit yourself, afraid of what they may say, or if you were being radically honest, it ain't gonna work?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's definitely not the place you want to be. You want to.
Oh, you don't want to make someone else feel that
Exactly.
way.
That's what I'm saying. That's a place you don't
Yeah,
want to be, on
yeah.
either side of
That's
that.
true. That's true.
On
I'm
either
sorry.
side
Yeah.
of that. Yes. Because if you're creating it, you're not doing yourself or the other person, especially the other person, any good. And if you're the one that is taking it, or the one who um on the receiving end of that toxicity, it can have its negative effects on you too.
Exactly. A healthy relationship gives space for people to be imperfect. No
Hmm.
such thing as perfect anyway, and accountable at the same time.
Yeah.
You can tell each other the good stuff and the shameful stuff
Hmm.
and openly talk about it. Who did the hurt?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is what I think is a key thing that we should remember and take with us. This
Hmm.
very key thing. You can be fully seen
Yes.
in a healthy, balanced relationship and still be fully loved. Again, you can be fully seen
Hmm.
and still be fully loved
Yes.
in a healthy, balanced relationship. Most relationships who are in the survival side,
Hmm.
they don't feel they could be fully seen. Because if
Right.
I am, that person ain't gonna like me.
Right.
I might not even like myself from that
Exactly.
end. And
Exactly.
I definitely, if that's the case, I know they're not gonna fully love me.
Hmm.
Or if you're a toxic person, you're definitely gonna say, I ain't gonna fully love them
Right.
at all.
Right. And a lot of that is, if you have an attitude about
Mm-hmm.
how someone is, where you're not flexible
Mm-hmm.
with them, then that's you saying, I don't want to see you or love you unless you're doing experiencing how I want it to be. conditional love. That's not unconditional love.
Exactly. I think about how cultural conditioning, since
Hmm.
we are ATR, and this is our black network. I think about culturally, there is a cultural power battle between black men and black women.
Oh yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
it's been there for a long time because of the cause of racism. And of course, because of slavery,
Hmm.
separating us in the first place for the boats, separating us, of course, when we're over here. And so
Yes,
we still battle
pitting us against
against
one
one
another
another. Exactly.
for favoritism,
Hmm.
for jobs, for um, the ability to maintain a household. All of those things been have set us up against one another.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
talking about even
So
leadership around
we're
us.
fighting an uphill battle
Hmm.
for um, to remove toxicity from the beginning, because the odds are stacked against us. Where toxicity is concerned.
Yeah, and we could be our worst enemies.
Oh
I know
yeah.
I'm around some of the guys. I remember I used to hang around with. They were talking about how my girl ain't doing this and my wife ain't doing this. They still call it the girl, or my woman, and she's always got an attitude, telling me this,
Hmm.
telling me what I want to do, and many times I turn around and call them bees because of that,
Or
or,
worse.
or worse. And I'm thinking to myself, some of the things that they're talking about, that though their woman is making them feel uncomfortable in a particular area they feel bad about, when I talk to the sisters, because I get a chance to talk to them, they're talking about the
Same
same
thing.
thing back in
Yes.
return.
Yes.
Exact same thing. So
Yes.
both of them are being toxic to one another.
Hmm.
Both of them have an attitude to one another.
Yeah.
And many of them is based on stereotypes.
Hmm.
He just an angry black man, always gonna be that way anyway. He ain't gonna be right anyway.
Yes.
And she's like, the guy would say, well, she's just not an angry black. Well, yeah, she's
Yeah.
an angry black woman. She ain't gonna never be right. She ain't
Exactly.
gonna never help my dreams, help me, want to move ahead in life
Hmm.
in the first place. So whatever, you know what I'm saying? and
Exactly.
and and and, and that cycle still goes on even
Hmm.
today. That
Yeah.
toxicity in our relationships,
Yes.
when it comes to us black folks, which is so bad, because that means we operate more as surviving than we are as a healthy, balanced
Yeah.
relationship. Bottom line is, we don't have too much love from the standpoint of feeling like we really can be friends.
Yes. And sometimes we can't get past that
Hmm.
because we're caught up in the attitude of I'll give as good as I get.
Hmm.
So, but you're not looking at it on the positive side.
Exactly.
You're looking at it on, if he throws four letter words at me, I got, my share of them that I can throw right back at him.
Hmm.
If he buys him some dinner and doesn't buy me any, well, the next time, we get into that tit for
Hmm.
tat thing.
Hmm.
That tit for tat thing. That's negative energy too.
Oh,
That's
what have you
toxicity.
done for me lately?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that can go two
Yeah,
ways.
well, I would think
Yeah.
so. I would
Yeah.
definitely think so.
Yeah.
Um,
That's that narcissistic thing.
yeah, well, I mean, if you're not too concerned about someone else's feelings,
Yeah.
then yes. And you have to admit, we talked about it before. A lot of time, for a long time in your first relationship, because it's a second relationship,
Hmm.
both mine too.
Yeah.
You had that kind of cultural conditioning from a black woman's point of view, that when I'm in a relationship, I'm going to think about things in that relationship in my point of view. It
Hmm.
didn't mean that your point of view was going to be something that you're going to do, to physically harm,
Yes.
or going to do something that won't be helpful to that
Right.
individual, that person in your relationship. But you still were looking at it from your point of view,
Hmm.
and you weren't necessarily looking at it from that man's point of view whatsoever.
Exactly.
And and
Exactly.
and because of that, you run into conflicts
Hmm.
because of that. And what was left out was what we call, you didn't understand, didn't know that there was something called the language of love, meaning a way that they feel if actions are done, I feel like I'm being loved,
Hmm.
not the way you think that you should do. That
Yes.
then in turn will make me feel loved, because that's what you think that needs to be done to make me feel loved, when it's
Hmm.
not what I feel
Yes.
and what I think of what has happened to me, or whatever it may be, to make me feel loved. Call that
Yes.
love language.
Which sets up in some situations
Hmm.
a situation where um you don't feel safe
Hmm.
in that relationship. You don't feel like you can speak your mind about how you're feeling. You don't feel like you can tell this person, you made me mad. They can tell you all day long that you made
Hmm.
them mad, but you can't tell them. So that's an unsafe relationship where you feel unsafe. Not necessarily that, um, you're going to get hit or you're going to get, walked out on or anything
You
like
just
that.
get you just get what is it, towed out.
Maybe,
Hmm.
or you get the silent treatment,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
you get you get some kind of negative reaction that may not go with your language of love,
Hmm.
which throws you off balance. So
Hmm.
when you're in this situation where you're not feeling safe,
Hmm.
you may not be the only one not feeling safe.
Exactly.
It so communication is where it is. So you got to hope that you have a relationship that
Hope.
is no, that is hot.
There you go. I'm saying
That's
don't
what I'm
use the
saying.
word hope. Hot.
No. What I'm saying is,
Hmm.
if you get to that point where
Hmm.
that toxicity is is
Okay.
is overwhelming,
Hmm.
you better hope that there's some hot in your relationship,
Okay.
so that you can find that point where you can be honest,
Open
open,
it
and
to well,
transparent on both sides.
you just give away one of the ways of being able to heal from a toxic
Well,
relationship.
see,
So we're supposed to be talking
it'll
about that
be
just a little bit
it'll
more
be
down the road.
a refresher course
Yeah, so
down the
stay
road.
tuned for that. We're probably next time that we're
See,
back on the air
you shouldn't have told
here,
anybody.
we will talk more about hot because it
Yeah.
is one very good way of how to deal with toxic relationships,
Hmm.
to heal them,
Yeah.
and many other ways to be able to heal things in
Yeah.
your relationship. No doubt about it. Okay, so let's go on into the next one. Ooh, that hurt my neck right there. Oh, no, that's all right. What's it? You have what? What is it we wrote up here?
You have bad or non-existent
Oh,
communication.
you just were talking about that.
Yeah.
Good communication is the heartbeat of every relationship, and it's easy to get off the rails without even meaning to. Right?
Right.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So, what do you think about that?
Yeah. Ooh, that that can happen so easily,
Mm-hmm.
especially if both people are under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe pressure from two different things,
Mm-hmm.
but it's that perfect storm where I'm having a pressure filled day and you're having a pressure filled day. And, it's just not a good time for either one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I would wish and assume that when these expectations don't become reality, that I don't judge you and you don't judge me. We may experience massive disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
We may become resentful. Um, but if we open up and talk about it, we can alleviate some of that. We can come to an agreement. We can get a better understanding.
Well, we should. Well, I mean, communication sometimes is just basic a foundation of sharing with one another.
Yeah, yeah.
And in our relationships, when we're operating in a striving way, not a striving way, but in a what was that, struggling way,
Right. Surviving.
surviving way,
Yes.
you are not necessarily about trying to communicate.
Right.
You're not necessarily trying to about sharing. Many times at that level, we're operating at every man and woman is for
For
themselves.
himself. Yes. Yeah.
Get them
Yeah.
before they get me.
Exactly.
And
Or
that's how they're
or
operating.
get them because they got
Oh
me.
yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
Exactly.
tit for
Exactly.
tat. We're right back there.
Thank you. So there ain't no such thing as we trying to share with one another.
Right.
That's not happening
Right.
from that. So we're not going to do it in communication. If we do in communication, we're going to try to be very manipulative
Mm-hmm.
in our
Yeah.
communication. So at the end, I'm not showing my cards,
Mm-hmm.
so I can get something, from you,
Yes.
from that end. So that
And
that does happen. That kind of
yeah.
communication, of course, is toxic communication, but it
Yes.
does happen.
And here's this other side of this
Hmm.
communication thing that um you know is a toxic situation, that sometimes the people who are creating the most toxicity in this
Hmm.
don't even realize it. They think they're avoiding the toxicity, but this is the people who, one of the people in the relationship avoid arguments. I
Hmm.
remember, um, my mother used to say that, when she and my father would have disagreements,
Hmm.
she would want to argue and get it over with and all, and he would just kind of like, no, he would just kind of get quiet and walk away, and it was never discussed. And I mean, how do you discuss when you walk away? But he was not an arguing type of person. The thing of it is, come back when the arguing time is over.
And we were just going to roll that kind
Mm-hmm.
away because sometimes you go through those seasons of
Yeah.
toxicity.
Yes.
I mean, we talked about that before, and you're too afraid to express
Mm-hmm.
yourself when it comes to your
Yes.
needs and desire for
Right.
whatever reasons are. And so, but it's just a season.
Mm-hmm.
You don't make it a
A lifetime.
well, yeah, you don't make it
Lifestyle. That's
a
what I was trying.
lifestyle or a
That's
way
what I
of
was trying to say.
life. It's
Lifestyle.
not a way of
Yes.
life. I mean,
Exactly.
I've been in some relationships and seeing that their way of life is they're always operating in a depressed way. They're
Mm-hmm.
always operating in an angry way.
Yeah.
There is no seasons.
Right.
It could be always a summer season all the time and hot as hell. Or it could be another season where it's cold and cold as hell. Or
Yes.
not cold as hell, but cold as I was gonna say the other word, but I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
But it's very, very cold. There's no changing in the
Right.
seasons at all,
Exactly.
period. From that end. And that's where we're talking about they are functioning
Addicts.
addicts or
Yeah.
functioning people
Yeah.
who are functioning toxicity and they have not the slightest
Mm-hmm.
idea whatsoever. Their composure,
Yeah.
their attitude, their emotions really doesn't change at
Mm-hmm.
all through any kind of periods of life. Period. I mean, something can go on happily, something can come up, real good that
Mm-hmm.
most people will be happy about, and they'll be like that old cartoon. I'm happy. You would never know. You
Yeah.
would never know. I mean, sometimes they may like it to be that way.
I call
You
it
know,
the Eeyore syndrome.
how many people know what ER is? Come on now.
Everybody knows Winnie the Pooh and all of Winnie the Pooh's little buddies, and Eeyore was the one that was
Mm-hmm.
always negative about everything. So yeah,
Yeah. We have an example
the
here. Some. Well, go. I'm
go,
sorry.
no, no, go ahead, because
I
I
was
was
going to say,
just
sometimes you wish and assume that when expectation doesn't come in reality, you would judge that person.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Experience massive disappointment,
hmm
become, I say resentful, but you also become very disrespectful.
yes,
And it wasn't until you open up that you could actually then connect. Because before
yes,
that time, going through that toxic situation, I just go back to the cause, use the word is.
right,
You weren't being empathetic.
not at all,
You were not looking that in the eyes of that other individual, your
right.
mate,
It was all about
whatsoever.
it
It's all
was all
about
about
you.
you and
It's all
how you
about you.
see things and your
Exactly.
hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
Exactly.
know, you hurt me, and I need to do something about it, and that's all that my focus is on. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
as opposed to the reason why you hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but and sometimes that's difficult to do in the moment.
Yeah. And,
But
and go ahead.
but there are moments that follow.
Exactly. And that also means even if you're going to be honest, using a hot principle, it doesn't mean everything's going to be magic. Okay. Hey, I'm the kind of person that, I could be very open, and most of the time I'm very open, honest, and transparent. But it doesn't mean in my lifetime being that way. Ooh, it don't mean whatsoever. Somebody's going to come back and be so loving, so caring, and go, "Oh, thank you for being honest." Many times they're like, "No, I don't want you being honest about
Hmm.
this. I don't want you to be
You
open
tell
about
me
it. I don't
too
want
many
you to."
truths about myself that I'm
Yeah.
not ready to hear.
Yeah. So you get no magical okay out of it.
Yes,
In fact, most
yes.
of the time it could be a very uncomfortable situation
Hmm.
when you with someone who's mostly toxic all the time.
Yes,
They don't want that being shown up. No, they don't.
yes.
No, no. So it probably means things are going to be uncomfortable and painful.
Hmm.
Yeah, that means that it's going to be
Yes,
uncomfortable and painful. But at the same time, in a relationship, a thriving relationship,
yes.
a healthy relationship, that's normal because we go through those seasons, we go through those times. You can't grow up on that knight in white shiny armor that, hey, we're never going to argue, we're never going to have different
No,
seasons, we're
that's
now no toxicity, meaning I'm going to always be empathetic and caring for you to the rest of my life, to death do us part. Oh, I'm dead now, but anyway.
that is so unrealistic.
But yet that's what our vows were made, and that's what people
Exactly.
gonna
And
live
that's
by.
what people believe.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
they do.
we start our young children out with the fairy tales, and this is how it's supposed to be before they even know what a relationship is. They get this idea and this attitude that a relationship is perfect. They live in a household where relationships aren't
Mm-hmm.
perfect, but they still see it's not that's not going to be me because I'm going to be like Cinderella. Well, Cinderella is not in your household or
Mm-hmm.
anybody else's. And if
And you
you
ain't no much of a Cinderella fella,
exactly.
queen,
Yes. And so
goddess,
because
king.
you have to
You ain't none
rise.
of that. You got no real, how can I say it? Mm,
Training, preparation.
well, some people would say you don't have much real spirituality as
Yeah,
part of your substance anyway.
yeah,
And so you're trying to act a position and you're really not divine at all.
exactly,
You know, you're one of those
exactly.
kind of kings or queens or gods that every day they're punishing you
Yeah,
because they didn't bow down to you.
yeah.
They didn't do what you wanted. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
What those do is cause us to
Mm-hmm.
look for perfection
Mm-hmm.
when there, without preparing us and telling us that perfection does not happen. You just get to be the best you can be, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not perfect. Perfect never comes through. You can. I don't know. You just we think that we can be perfect. We cannot be perfect.
That happens a lot
Yeah.
when we are just burying our hurts,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
And deep down inside, it only leads to resentment.
Yes. Yes.
If you have a hard time having empathy for someone, and there's no doubt about it, many times you have resentment for them.
Mhm.
Jealousy
Yes.
is part of the resentment crowd.
Yeah.
They're like two neighbors, two cousins, brothers and sisters. So you are operating in that resentment, or in
Mhm.
this case, that toxic way, but it's really something that's going on with a hurt that's inside you. Someone
Yes.
hurt you. That
Got to
very
get to the
person could have
root.
hurt. Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
Often that emotionally charged conversation activates our flight, fight, or freeze response.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It
Yes.
activates that. So you become explosive. You become you tackle the threat, okay, head
Mhm.
on. You know,
Yes.
sometimes it don't need to be head on. Sometimes you be a little bit, but not during that time. You're gonna
Yes.
tackle head on. Like, what you want? Why you saying that?
Yeah.
You know,
So
what's up with
you want me
you?
to do what?
Exactly. Or you withdraw in a cold silence,
Yeah.
which is what you were talking about.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
These are only examples of dysfunctional communication.
Mhm.
That's what they are, including what we see a lot, especially in politics. But it happens a lot in relationships too.
Yeah.
Gaslighting,
Yeah.
manipulating words, like some people say, being too dishonest.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
attaching judgment to the words without asking for clarification. I used that big word you gave to me one time, being disingenuous.
Yeah.
What is that, by the way, since you threw that word out there a long time ago?
What that means basically is you're misrepresenting who and what the truth of the situation is.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing it in a in a to the extent that it makes you look good, better than you would. So it raises you without being completely honest about
Mm-hmm.
the situation.
Okay. That was so convoluted. I didn't say that.
I just gave two or three different ways of looking at it
Oh, okay.
as I tried to simplify it,
Okay.
because disingenuousness is a word that a lot of people don't use it. Um,
You did. You did on me.
I
Hey, Greg, I'm gonna give you a new word that you always talk about all the time. That people are like, use the word disingenuous. You know, I would use the old school way, the OJs. You know what that was?
for
Smiling faces, they tell lies
yes,
and they don't tell the truth.
yes, the fake,
Smiling faces. You know the rest of it.
yeah.
Beware of the pat on the back. Good night and turn your back. So, you know, that's an old school way of
Yes,
actually using a song to explain that, you
yeah,
know,
because
I'm from that end. But
which comes
yeah,
down to just saying people are fake.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. So, how many minutes? We got an engineer
we've got
back
about
there.
two.
I really appreciate that she came around and stayed around with it. Had a little conflict this morning, but we sometimes this happens in the evening. We're glad to see that she's still here too at the same time. We got three people listening to it. I think we're supposed to stop here about what number? Another one more minute or so.
Yeah, we've got about a minute left.
Okay, so we won't go into our next one
No,
of again how
you
you
can.
can tell if you're in a toxic relationship
Hmm.
or a relationship where someone's not empathetic
Empathetic.
to you, or you are not being empathetic to
Right.
someone else in your
Right.
relationship. So on that particular note, sure.
Wait with bated breath until next week.
And next week. So you want to kind of What time is it now? Oh, it's 5:55 up there.
Yeah, but we started just a tad late.
Low tad late.
Yeah, just a tad late.
So that means we should be stopping here real soon.
Yeah, we got about a minute.
Okay, you want to go ahead and finish this out, beautiful?
Oh, thank you.
You are very welcome.
You're
We got
so,
one more
you're
minute.
so sweet. Yes,
Mhm.
in this last minute that we have, I just want to, just kind of reiterate what we said. Make sure that you have communication so that you're not being one with dysfunctional communication.
All right. She said it. The mic dropped. That's it. Thank you. God bless.
Till next
Ashe.
week.
Till next week.
Like this.